So I'm going to go ahead and get us started here today. Keith and I actually have an appointment in town around 4 o'clock our time, right? So in about 4 hours from now. And we're anticipating that this topic is going to produce a lot of questions. There is no cacao education today. There is no B school today. We're going to start with some brief announcements, and then we're going to hear a story from the heart from Fire Tree. Who I think, Fire Tree, are you on the call already?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, good. Because it would be bad to start, start your story from the heart if you weren't here.
Phew.
All right, so I've got just a couple of brief announcements and stuff we've been working on a while that we'll be talking about. We'll hear from Fire Tree and her story from the heart. And then we're going to dive in and let you guys talk about this. When Kristen made this initial post, there was a huge response on the group about grief and how to deal with it both in your own life and ceremony. Just so everybody remembers the rules. If you're not talking, if you don't, please try and keep your mic on mute so that everyone can hear who is talking. And when you want to talk, I will be watching. If you have a question, just raise your hand or type me a little note in the text chat here on Zoom, and I'll make sure that we get to your questions with Keith. All right, so on to announcements. So Keith is going to begin hosting a monthly online ceremony. This is separate from what we do here in the group. This will be something that you can invite your people to, folks that you work with in your local communities, and give them the opportunity to see what it's like to work with Keith himself.
Yeah, I mean, for me, because I'm not always based full time in the UK, like I had really understood that it was for that 200, that it was also going to be shared within your community as well. Because while I
don't think that conversation was meant for us. Sorry about that. Also, we'll be launching some new video resources. A lot of the content that we produce in these calls can be turned into other things and used to help educate you, reminders, something to go back and reference. And we've been pulling them together in shorter formats, and we're going to put them together in a way that you'll have access to them and be able to grab them, and won't have to necessarily sit through an entire practitioner call to get access to the content that you're interested in reviewing. Okay. So I've had the good opportunity to talk to, I'm sorry, Louise, it's hard for me to call you just Fire Tree because I know you as Louise. I've had the opportunity to talk to Fire Tree many times over the last few months, and it's always fun and it's always educational. And I was extremely excited to find out that she wanted to share her cacao story from the heart with us. She practices in Scotland and focuses on shamanic ceremonies, both in groups and with individuals. Large focus on meditation and embodiment practices, particularly through forest yoga and body work. And I'm of particular interest to learn more about forest yoga today and what that means. She loves working with plants and has done extensive dietas in her life with various plants. And she also not only talks to plants, but she talks with animals as well. And we'd love to hear about that also today. Without wasting any more time, I would love to turn this over to Fire Tree.
Thanks, Rick. And yeah, it's a real pleasure to share my story with you all. And yeah, keep me right with time, Rick. How long shall I?
We will. You've got about 15, 20 minutes.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
If we feel like you're just running too long, we'll do something like wave our arms or something like that. But please, we're excited to hear from you.
Cool. So yeah, really, it started 3 or 4 years ago now with a cacao ceremony with Anu, which some of you may know, that she did a practitioner's training, but that was not my intention at all. My intention was simply to go to a cacao ceremony and connect with cacao, and it just felt at the right time, right place. And at the time I was in my marketing career, and I had been doing shamanic training for a while and knew that I was going to take the jump at some point in the near future into working, well, basically leaving the corporate job and then working with my heart and doing what's from my heart. What actually happened just within 2 or 3 months of that ceremony and some other plant ceremonies as well in the meantime is that my job actually ended very quickly. And then what happened was so that was December. I think it was November was the cacao ceremony. December was another plant medicine ceremony. And December was whenever also had basically had to leave my job because it wasn't working. It wasn't my heart in it. And I was actually quite unwell as well with it because of stress and anxiety and yada yada. So I knew I was actually holding an online dieta, a retreat in January. And since, well, sure, I'd just given up my job, I knew that I was going to be working from my heart going forward. I thought, well, this is a good opportunity for me to get to know cacao and do my own personal retreat. So I did it very seriously. I took 10 days off where I was just at home and drinking cacao every day and working with various embodiment practices and journeys that I knew shared with us, as well as my own practices. And little did I know that she had a plan for me, as she often does. And that plan was that she wanted me to facilitate ceremonies. And I have to say again, this was not my intention at all with cacao. And I didn't see it coming. And what happened then in those 10 days was she really took me through the mill. Like she really went very deep with me into my shadow aspects, the things of the fears, anxieties that were holding me back, and some trauma, which links. I might talk about that a little bit more later on, about body work and how that comes into this as well. And she really fed in with my yoga practice as well, and started to show me how she wanted to work with me, how she wanted me to hold space, because I was already space holding anyway for a long time. It's just I wasn't doing it so much with plants yet. And I just really got into space of being very quiet and being able to listen to how she wanted to come through, because I hadn't been to Guatemala. I hadn't been to any traditional cacao ceremony, so I had no point of reference apart from that one ceremony with Anu and what we've been doing together online in the dieta. And so really a few short months after that of really connecting with her, myself first and foremost, and exploring this relationship with her, then I started to offer some small ceremonies with friends, and was just blown away by what they were, the healing that was occurring, the changes that were occurring, the transformations that were occurring very, very quickly for people. And I was just amazed and taken aback by the power of Mama Cacao this whole time. And so that very quickly actually grew into monthly ceremonies in Edinburgh, which I'm still doing now. And there's quite a community now building up in Edinburgh now with cacao ceremonies, but I've also taken that across the world with me to different festivals, and whenever I've gone traveling, then people have asked it of me because they know that she's around. Or, in Edinburgh, if I meet someone, they quite often say, "Oh, you're Fire Tree, you run these cacao ceremonies." So I'm like, "Oh yeah, how do you know that?" It still amazes me. But what I've really, really been, what is in my heart with cacao is just how she works in so many different ways, and there's never one ceremony that's the same as the next. So you never know what to expect, and for me that keeps me in that enjoying it and staying in that childlike curiosity with it all the time, of listening of what's needed in the moment, and learning as I go still, even though it's been a few years now. And I just really feel like that has given me so much support in my career as a whole, of learning about space holding and learning how to do that in different contexts with different themes, You know, sometimes it's women's work, and sometimes it's mixed groups, and sometimes it's, you know, in a familiar yoga studio in Edinburgh, and sometimes it's this like shala in Bali, or right next to Lake Italan in San Marcos as well. And it was interesting when I went to Guatemala. I went to Guatemala with the intention of, I'm going to learn here how to actually do cacao ceremonies now, even though I've been doing it for a while. I felt that I would connect with the Mayan people and how they would work. I would connect with Keith and how Keith was working, and connect with other people that were working there, because cacao is everywhere. It's just everywhere there. But what she reflected back to me was that she's like, you've already been doing this. You know, she's taught me how to work with her in my unique way. And yes, you'll always pick up and learn from other people, but unless it really resonates here, sorry, I'm probably tapping the microphone. I feel unless it really resonates in the heart, you know, you're just going through the motions. And that's something I've never been able to do, because that's why I had to stop my corporate job, because that's what I was doing every day. I was just going through the motions, where I knew that my heart was working with spirit and helping people. And I couldn't do that any longer. And then Mama Cacao comes in and she's just like, hey, I'm going to have my way. And I feel that has informed me a lot, where this medicine of being a medicine for our modern time, of people that can connect, you know, from all walks of life. And I love that, of the diversity of the people that come to ceremonies, and the different age range and backgrounds, and, you know, connecting people that are maybe lawyers, finance, corporate lawyers in their day job, yet they'll come to a monthly cacao ceremony because it reminds them to reconnect to what is really going on. To people, you know, like your hippy dippy woo woo kind as well. But all I really feel is my story with her is how she's taught me about this groundedness and connectedness. So this wonderful heart opening medicine that she is, but also keeping it real, keeping it grounded, and keep it into the body. So she has helped me connect more deeper into my own body, and through my yoga practice, and through body work, and through somatic practices, and then therefore being able to bring that into cacao ceremonies, so that in a cacao ceremony I could lead a shamanic journey, but then also lead into movement and really working somatically. And she's teaching me more on that actually all the time, of going into greater depths with that. And it's something I feel I want to continue to explore in different ways, of not just in group work, but also in one-to-one work, of how can I do that, of working with cacao and working somatically, even if somebody's in, you know, the other side of the world, of, because she's helping them to connect with their hearts, but then to connect with their body, they can start to have that more of a dialogue with the body going on, and I can help in a way coach them through that, and, you know, guide them through that a little bit more. But really with her doing most of the work. And I always see that as being a facilitator, and I feel it's always been a relationship, a partnership with her, and that I really enjoy. And it's now taken me to the point where I want to share that with others. So not that I say I want to dictate and this is how you work with cacao, not at all. But here's some ways, and here's some tools and techniques that I have found that help, or here's some protocols perhaps for setting up sacred space. And then within that, you flow with what's coming for you in an authentic way. And so I'm moving on more in my work of looking at mentoring, of teaching as well. And it's again, that's not something that I had on my agenda at all. But it came very clearly last summer, really, to start moving into that aspect. And then I knew in Scotland here was stepping down at the same time. I was actually about to contact her and say, well, I'm kind of getting this message from Mama Cacao. I'm like, what do you think about this? Because this is not something I was anticipating at all. And so that feels like that is something that's coming very soon for me as well. And again, I'm just always grateful for my own personal journey with her, and also how she's helped me to facilitate journeys for others, and how they are therefore connecting with her and wanting to go deeper with it as well. So I'm not sure if there's anything else, Rick, in particular that you felt you wanted me to share.
Oh, I thought that was fantastic. And I can tell just from some of the responses from the group how much they have enjoyed hearing from you. Fire Tree, thank you very, very much. I loved many of the things that you said, and I'm wondering, does anybody have any comments or questions that they would like to share? Please unmute yourself and spit it out if so.
I would love to just say, yeah, that was really beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And yeah, I'm going to be in Edinburgh in about a month, so I'd love to connect with you.
Fab, please do. That would be wonderful.
Great. Yeah.
Especially the Irish connection, eh?
Huh?
Especially the Irish connection.
Yeah.
Great.
So I'll get in touch with you.
Aye, please do.
Great.
That's fabulous.
The tiny world that we live in.
Very tiny, and we get to prove it on these calls even more. It's always nice to get a chance to hear a story from the heart about how Cacao is working with someone. I know Kristen has somebody lined up for our next call. You can just give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. We do, yay. We have someone lined up to be the speaker from Fabulous, and we'll start recruiting again for the call after that sometime soon. Fire Tree, thank you again.
Thanks, Rick. Thanks, everyone.
So this topic, I think, was originally suggested by you, Kristen, was it not? And you named it very appropriately, dealing with grief in life and in ceremony. And obviously, grief is something that we all experience in some form or factor at some point in our lives. And I think it is incredibly common to run up against it in ceremony as well. And I'm anticipating that there are lots of questions here about this. And I don't know if Keith has something that he would like to talk to us about prior, or if we should just open with some questions. But Keith, I'll leave that decision to you.
All right, I got it queued up here.
Well, then
Am
it's
I
all
on,
yours.
Rick?
You are live right now.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I thought I would approach this subject of grief, either of your own or of working with clients' grief, in a standard way that came out about 10 years ago and is widely around on the web. And it's in different formats in different places, of 4 or 5 stages of the grief process. And now, people do not necessarily go through these in the same order, and they may repeat a stage more than once. So those of you that have got a notebook, we can just go through the stages. At least the presentation of stages that I'm going to use here, so this is the background here, is that grief is a process of moving to a higher level. If you tell the universe that what just happened shouldn't be, you'll go through these stages. If it's a loss, if it shouldn't have happened, if something different should have happened, you will use these several stages to get to the next level. If you see the loss as an invitation to the next step, as something positive that has gifted you with an opportunity, then you'll use it that way. So, all right, step one, denial or isolation. This is when you rage against the universe. Well, not quite rage, that's the next stage. But anyway, where this is wrong, and you go into a little shell. Step two in this classification is anger. When what has happened is not right and shouldn't be. Third step for many people is the bargaining or negotiation. Well, why did I create this in my reality? Why did they do this? If I was more aware, or if I did my meditations, or if they would have left, or this wouldn't have happened. And the bargaining and negotiation comes up especially with the loss of the old world that every single one of us is going through, where we have grief over the loss of the old world and the way knowing we're all that.
Keith, your audio is struggling a bit, and we seem to have lost your video.
Rick, I'm showing, my internet connection is collapsing here a little bit. I think it's back. Yes?
It is back. You're looking and sounding good.
Okay. So we had bargaining negotiation as number 3, and then depression and despair as number 4, where this isn't right. The universe is against me. I'll never get what I want. This is just unjust. And then the last step, number 5, in this way of looking at it, is acceptance, where you go through an integration process and truly understand that you have gone to a level, if it's grief about the loss of your inner reality, old world, or someone else who has left, has gone to another level, which is exactly right for them. And they are going to contribute to the planetary shift process from the other side, if it is a death of someone. Again, you can go through these stages in various orders. Some can take a long time, some can be fairly fast. You can get really, really stuck in some of the stages. But eventually, if you cooperate with the process, you do get to the end and move into acceptance. So if you've got a personal grief process going on, more than likely you're in one of these stages. So we're going to work on each one of them in the course of this call, as well as work with the individual ways that this manifests personally with however you're working with this. So let's let's start with the first one on the list, the denial or the isolation, where you pull away, go into another little place, and go in pain. And what you're doing is making adjustment in your system, and often you will have symptoms, autoimmune-like systems, illnesses, where balance, finding a new balance is the key. You might, in this isolation, you might take breaks from social media. I've been doing that lately. And if you accept this as a natural process, well, you'll get behind. I'm way behind. You'll come out of it on the other side, able to re-engage or be in more acceptance of your healing process and move on to the next stage, which is anger. Anger is life force, which is not expressing itself in the normal way, but is coming out in a way that you can purge this energy from you, where something external, in this case, whatever caused the grief, is motivating you from within. And not only this grief, but other things related inside, other things in your inner woundedness, your inner child pain body, your pain body in general, will all get catalyzed and come together. Now, it doesn't feel good to be around other people when they're going through this stage. And a lot of people in your sphere will do the sympathy instead of the empathy thing. If you're going to work with people who are going through grief, please get on the web and read up on the difference between sympathy and empathy and how that manifests. Sympathy makes other people's feelings wrong. You're wrong to be in this stage of the grief process. You're wrong to be angry. You need to get out of your anger. Even it's not spiritual to feel such anger. So while the anger is an important stage that you're moving through, where you feel like when other people use sympathy, you're being silenced, victimized, or oppressed, and they're telling you that you can't purge this pain from you, or you shouldn't, or it's not right, or you need to get over it, or whatever they're doing. People in one of these negative emotions, which is, they're actually not negative. As my teacher said, any emotion, if you allow it and feel it appropriately, is a positive emotion. That means love, gratitude. If you do not express them appropriately, they're negative emotions if you don't let them move and share them. So when people go through the anger or the associated resentment, the idea is to help them move these energies and go deeper in them so that they can even access other layers of pain, anger, resentment within them, which this gift of their friend dying or them letting go of their old self is bringing up. Now, the anger can move out emotionally, it can move out energetically, the famous New Age beating on pillows. And people can be assisted to move through this, to make room inside for the next thing. And you can heal anger without being angry with yourself or anyone else or anything. This is incredibly freeing to discover that this is possible, to move it energetically, to literally, as one of my teachers, Lazarus, explains, step one, feel it absolutely as deep as you can. Step two, invite the higher energies, whatever you perceive them to be, as your higher self or your guides, to connect with what you've been able to feel, because they can't connect with it if you won't go there and feel it. Invite them to connect with it and transmute it within you, or help you move it out. And then step three, as it lightens and opens, have your higher self, ask your higher self to bring in whatever is going to fill those empty places with whatever your higher self would suggest belongs there. Because the basic pattern is, if you empty something out, you're going to feel something missing. And unconsciously, you're probably going to go out there and fill it up with the same old thing, or create it right out of source with the magic manifestation abilities that you have. So, in allowing this deeper transmutation, you're going to end up anchoring the higher dimensional energies and raising the vibration of the planet. And that's what this stage for. Okay, next stage, bargaining, negotiation. Now, I've seen a lot of people not really go through this stage. And some people get incredibly hung up on this stage, where well, if I do this, if I give up that, if I grow to the next level, if I let go of something, then I'll get a reward. I'll get some cookies. Well, that was my expression of it. Am I being behind? Is this grief process, okay, so you're in the anger and you're beginning to move out of it. Is this grief process limiting my ascension? Is it limiting growth of the person, my client that I'm working with? Is it something that needs to be fixed or moved so that they can go to the next step? And the whole idea is to use the step as the magic it is, rather than try and get beyond it, even if you know what their next stage is. The anger of, especially if it's an internal shift where you're going to the next level and you're going, why aren't other people going with me? I'm just going to be alone. They are going to be threatened by my higher level. We've got people on the porch right now who have a lot of light, and they trigger the crap out of other people on the porch. It brings their stuff up. And generally, the people whose stuff is coming up find a reason to blame or judge the person in higher energy. It's not really them, it's what they represent. They're reminding the person of what is ready to happen in their consciousness that they're resisting. So, if you're trying to bargain with reality instead of participating, it'll slow down for a while. And that's going to help you make adjustments. It's going to help the density that you need to work with come up. It's going to increase your confusion for a while. And The confusion is a really positive signal that you are stepping out of denial and you're on your path to a more expanded awareness. And, you know, you're wandering around in the desert of mental confusion and you can't figure out what's supposed to be happening or what's really going on. Well, yay. Celebrate it. You're getting an education and stepping out one more little step of the rational mind so that it doesn't have to make the decisions for you. You don't have to understand what the frick is going on in order to take the next step. Just slow down, go to glow, do some breathing, whatever works for you. And let yourself settle in to whatever little awareness you can find or ask for, that you're actually in a larger movement on a path and things are unfolding. So when you get trapped in the dialogue, when you get trapped in the blame game, when you get trapped in the repeatedly over and over skeptical ego, even when you get to the place of hopelessness or futility that this will never end, you'll never get out of it. The arguments, the blame, the criticism, we're just going to repeat over and over and over and over again. When you're in those places, you know you're close because you're allowing where you are, even though you don't like it and you don't have to like it. Ask your guides, ask your higher self for help. And every time you fall asleep at the wheel, every time you lose it and go back into monkey mind, every time the little hamster cage of your frontal cortex takes over with the skepticism, anger, blame, fear, judgment, denial, isolation, victimhood, use this as a gift to give yourself a big hug, to love yourself right where you are, to say thank you to your little denial or isolation or victim, that it is going and grabbing you and saying, my last gift is to level you up to your next stage of unconditional love and compassion, which you're going to need for other people. And you probably have an agreement with yourself that you're not going to let yourself have the power until you've got the compassion. So here you are in a funky, stagnant, stuck place to level you up. And your little funky, stuck place is not going to let go of you until you get its gift of love, compassion, acceptance of yourself. And then you'll have that for others. All right. The next stage in all of this, depression or despair. It's usually one of the last stages in the cycle. And in this stage, the ego structure gets the air let out of it and starts to shrivel and dissolve. So all of these energies, guilt and the shame, the regret, the pissed off, the exhaustion or the apathy, the hopelessness, pop to the surface like corks, to get unhooked from your being. So you can exit the old paradigm, the old world, and go on. Most people in the depression cycle, which if you read Bashar, and maybe people ask, we can post this on the practitioners page. Bashar calls it compression rather than depression. You go within to focus intensely, and you usually need a lot more rest. You don't feel like doing much of anything. You're not ready to go out and party. It's not a negative. You're going inside to do the work you need to do. It's highly positive. You're going inside to make a shift in your direction, to recover your passion, your life force, your essence. And you are literally doing this to shift levels. So the ego is getting poked with a pin, and you're letting the air out of it. And as it shrinks, you get to find a new part of you. You spend a lot of time alone. Maybe you watch a lot of videos or trashy movies or chick flicks or whatever you do. And as this dissolves, you find yourself at another level where you're not controlled by these inner motions, where you have a center. You can say you found your center again, but it's a new level of your center. And you went through all this journey to find that. It feels more harmonious. It feels more like the true you. And that's when you move into what is usually in this process, final step, which is acceptance. And the solitude of the depression moves into the centeredness of who you are. Your passion for the journey, for yourself, for what you do comes back. And instead of trying to rearrange the movie on the screen of reality in the movie theater, you focus on the film in the magic camera of your being, where the light of your being flows through the holographic projector you are, and your thoughts and beliefs and definitions are out there on the screen. Instead of trying to rearrange the screen, you throw some things off the film. And then you experience reality changing. This brings you back to joy, but at another level. Now, you can't go into acceptance by, I can accept this. This is okay. That's another level of denial. It literally has to come in its own way through these previous 4 steps, or however you do it, in whatever order you do it in. You can't get there through control by telling yourself that you're okay, that you're done with this is all right. Ain't gonna work. Most people will try and do a level of this, of pushing ahead, of literally trying to skip steps. And they'll have to come back. They'll run into some kind of wall and have to come back to one of the earlier steps and allow that particular stage of the grief cycle to play itself out, to be honest and vulnerable with themselves. even when things repeat themselves again, 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 and again. You get sick of it. It sucks. You get frustrated. But it teaches you that self-love. You're going to come out on the other side of all of it at another level where you can, as we used to say, hold space for other people going through this, through their frustrations and their stuckness. And you're going to move to the next level. Basically, we are finishing up on this planet with holding space for other people. You're not a space holder anymore. You're a light emanator, a light radiator, a higher dimensional energetic transmitter. You're a channel. You're anchoring in the higher dimensional energies, the vibrations, resonances, and frequencies that allow someone else, if they accept those energies, and that's their choice, to change the choices, the belief systems, the patterns they're running, and their symptoms and their life will change. So whatever you do, whether you massage people, whether you do cacao ceremonies, whether you do sessions, whatever you do, the energies that come through you as a radiance that emanate from you, from the channel that you are going to give other people. You're connected to the fifth dimension, the fourth density, whatever. I think everybody likes to use different terms for it to confuse everybody. But you're going to bring through those energies, and as other people accept them, and your heart-centeredness, your lack of agenda, your lack of ego, your non-attachment to whether somebody else accepts it or not, is going to make the energies so clean that other people will much easier accept them. All right. We're headed for one shift after another, after another, after another, for years. And wherever people are in this is a step in their own process. So at this point, I'd like to throw it open to questions on any one of these particular things, where you are in your individual process, where somebody is that you're working with, or whatever. And we will see if we can work it into, as we often can, into a little meditation to benefit everyone, because your question is going to be relevant to everyone else. So let me throw it open and jump in, and away we go.
Does anybody have a question right now or a comment? Show me your hand. Paula, I see your hand first. Go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Hi.
Hi, Paula.
Hi. Let me see if I can frame the question. It's not fully formed really, but
Go deeper. Yeah.
So what I've experienced in myself, and also what I am seeing a lot in other people, is like two different types of grief. You know, there's like the very easy to understand, like grief connected to a loss, to a death, to a breakup, to, you know, a loss of something.
Yes.
And then there seems to be this other, like, deeper, heavier, just kind of generalized grief that I'm seeing in myself and in a lot of other people, that isn't so tangible and isn't so easy to connect to something. And so it's more, I find in myself as well, there's a lot more resistance to the process, and there's a lot more difficulty dealing with the process of like just grief out of nowhere, you know?
Yes.
So
All right.
to add to that, like I have experienced a lot of, like the last 10 years has been pretty much a continual like loss process. So I've had about 10 different griefs connected to different things and different people in the last 10 years. So there's a kind of like I guess an overlapping of like the different grieving processes for the different losses all happening at the one time, you know?
Yes.
And it's pretty intense, man.
Absolutely.
But it's also because there's so many layers, and like, you know, I might be in a different process of grief connected to the loss of one person and the loss of another person, that like, I don't know, it's difficult to feel a completion of the process ever, you know? They all seem to kind of blend. I don't know what my question is around that.
Well, first of all, forget completion. You ain't seen nothing yet. We are in a massive acceleration that's going to go on for years. Now, we all are learning to ride the wave a lot easier. And just like if you get out there on your surfboard on the wave, when you start, you're pretty much a failure. You fall off a lot, but you learn to ride the wave of light and let these things roll out of you. So, larger issue here of what's going on is, and we have quite a few people on the porch experiencing this. If you're literally doing this paradigm change or this belief system change or this change from the third world to the fifth dimension, third dimension to the fifth dimension, what you're doing is betraying the gift of third dimensional reality that your parents gave you. You accepted this from them in love. It was their gift of love to help you be successful, be a better person, fit in to the consensus reality that you didn't even know at that time was going to literally fall apart. And so when you begin to exit that, there's often some kind of a sense of betrayal. You are betraying the love, even if that love was mixed with a great deal of abuse. You're betraying the love, the gift that you were given by parents and society, by moving into a new world. Oh, you're not going to the university like you're supposed to grow up and do, or whatever it is. You're disappointing them. You're letting them down. So this is one of the things going on. Along with it, on a very personal level, you know how to operate in the old world. It's not a mystery. You can do it. You've learned to negotiate it, better or worse, one way or another. And now it's crumbling. It's falling apart. As we all move gently and gradually, but at an accelerated pace into this new world, new age, beam of light, So, a great deal of what is happening to you right now is a continued education in trust and surrender. Trust and get out of the way. Trust and allow. That energy, when in talking about that, the Oneness book, channeled by Rasha, probably discusses this better than anyone I know. Excellent book to help you understand the process we're all going through. The trust and allowance is going to help you with whatever your next step is more than anything that I know. Is just to let it happen, trusting that it is what needs to happen. My teachers had to tell me over and over, we can't tell you how you're going to do this. I have a visitor here, folks. Hi there. We can't tell you how you're going to do this, but we can tell you that you will. In other words, every one of you is going to go through this in a unique process. I learned that once I figured out how the process works, how the formula works, once I figured it out, it stopped working that way. And I would have to go back to where I didn't know anything. I didn't have any assumptions. I was just wide open, and I let it happen as it needed to. I've seen this happen again and again and again, both in myself and others. Once you figure out, once you get the steps of this process, it quits working that way. We talk about this on our Art of Ascension video, is that if you start using it to avoid your journey by jumping beyond it, it'll let you jump a few times so that you know you can do it, and then it'll quit working. And you go, it doesn't work anymore. Well, does that help, Paula?
It does.
Paula?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. In other words, the essence of what you're going through is completely unique. Will be for every single person in your ceremonies that you work with. And helping another person to trust their now and allow it to unfold, even when on the surface it appears rather negative. I mean, it's not their preference. It hurts. They don't like it. I didn't like it either. And you don't have to like it. But if you can allow it, then it can move to whatever the next step is. And the next step is going to be unique. And you work with 10 people, and they'll go through these 5 stages of grief, and everyone will do it in a completely different way. I've had people who finish with a stage, an entire stage in a 15 minutes. They go through it, they're done. And then they spend weeks in another step. Well, welcome to the magic. No rules. Fly by the seat of your pants, as they say.
So Keith, I see that we have another question if you're done there from new practitioner Laura. But before we get you to answer, if you could tilt your camera up so we get more than beard and nostrils.
Oh, well, we're trying.
There we
okay,
go.
How's that?
Perfect. Not that the beard and nostrils look isn't really great, buddy.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem with this laptop I have. It has very tiny bezels. And so they put the webcam at the bottom of the screen instead of the top like it is on most people's computers. And we bought ourselves an external webcam, and we cannot get the computer to see it. So anyway, we're working on it.
Looks good now.
Boop, boop, boop.
Hey Keith, just before you answer this question, does that shirt say orcas?
Yes.
Huh. We got a few of those around here.
This is a t-shirt from a dive shop in northern Panama on the Caribbean coast that belongs to the parents of one of our porch friends here.
Cool.
In the Boca something area of northern Panama, almost to Costa Rica. Bunch of islands there.
Cool.
Laura, I think you were next with a question. If you're ready to ask, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay. Is that working? Thank you very much for welcoming me here. That's really great. Yeah, it's Boca del Toros. It's a really nice island area. I've been there. Super cool place in Panama. So yeah, I had this question about allowance. So as it is so, I mean, yeah, it's individual for everyone, but is there like like some little tricks to stop your mind? Because sometimes like it's in my mind, like, yeah, I allow it. I allow myself to be in the state, but that's again the mind, and it just in a way wants to go further. So it's the same with what you said, Keith, before, like, okay, I accept it. It's not really, it didn't go through you.
Yes.
It's more yeah. And so with the allowance, I guess it's similar. And yeah, how do you know when it's the mind just telling you you want to allow it and when you actually allow it?
All right. The trick is you're not going to find a trick.
I thought so.
You're going to, I mean, or you're going to find 150 of them. The whole idea is that what happens on this adventure, the unique places you get stuck, you get confused, are your spiritual path that you designed to get you where you're going, to this fifth dimension, ascension, illumination, enlightenment, going home. Rather than being wrong, they are the gifts that you have arranged for yourself on another level to teach you self-love, self-compassion, self-acceptance, and the ability to get out of the way and let things play out without resistance, whether you like them or not. That's the key. Let the dramas play out without trying to fix them, control them, change them. That is the fastest way to end them, to get the gift that you went there for. Yes, you have awareness, you move up to the observer or the witness level, you watch yourself playing the game. And you will literally have experiences. Barbara and I, my sweetheart and I, have had experiences of being in an argument and literally realizing that we know this script by heart. I know my line at any given time. Then I know the line that she's going to say. Just like if you're in a play on stage, you know your lines, but you also know the lines of the other person, the other actors involved in the play. Yes? So I know my line that is required for me to say to play out this repeat performance of an script that has gone on for ages. And I know the line that Barbara's going to play, and then I know the line that I'm going to respond with. And when it gets to that level, where you literally watch yourself playing out a scripted drama, you're just about done with it. Because then it moves to the level of choice. It is my choice. Do I say the line that is my next line in the script? Or do I leave the script? This is the self-empowerment experience that all this crap leads everyone to. When you realize it's a choice, when you realize that you are literally presented with bait, you get triggered, something happens, somebody does something that you actually, on another level, ask them to do. They trigger you. It brings up this pain body pattern from your childhood, and the script says you're going to respond in a certain way. You're going to take the bait, and in fishing, bait has a hook. And when you take the bait, you get hooked into the drama, into the loop, into the cycle. And most people have to go from step to step to step to step. There's usually 5 or 6 of them, all the way around the loop before they can get out. And the last stages, you're in blame, or you're beating yourself up for having gone there one more time, or whatever your story is. And the whole idea is to learn. You can leave the loop at any time. Pass, go, collect $200 in the Monopoly metaphor. Or you can have what people call either enough consciousness or awareness to realize you're being presented with bait, and you simply make another choice. That's all it is simply a choice. To take the bait, to get hooked in the drama, or to make another choice, whatever that would be. So when you begin to view these things that you do not like in your life as a gift, designed to level you up, you start using the gifts instead of making reality wrong. Matt Kahn, it's kind of hard to find because it's only on his website and not on YouTube. But Matt Kahn, just like about 3 days ago, posted a little impromptu video on disappointment. It's very good. I highly recommend it. Maybe we'll post the link on the practitioner's page to this. Let's see. Now I got 2 links to post. I don't even remember what they are. But anyway, somebody will remind me.
I got them, Keith.
Okay. Thank you very much. That was actually a really good mind changer. And actually, disappointment in German means literally disillusionment. So I think that's also a really, really lovely way to see it.
Yes. Okay, close your eyes. Go inside. And imagine the universe serving you something, bringing to you a life experience, serving you a plate of something you don't want to eat. Now, you can get angry. You can get in an argument with your server. And I'm not going to tip you. You can accept it. You can say this is the wrong thing and send it back to the kitchen and refuse to play. All those possibilities are your choice. But the important thing is your energy. Do you get triggered? Do you get angry? Well, if you get triggered or angry, go into it, accept it, use it as a gift. If you see you're being offered the bait to get triggered, to get angry, to get pissed, to have an argument with your server, if you see you're being offered that and you make another choice, pat yourself on the back. Lazarus has a famous quote all the way back from the 1980s. You create your own reality. You either cause or allow everything that happens to you. And there is no fine print. In your personal universe, you cause or allow everything. And everything is a gift, whether it's your preference or not. And if you use the gift to level you up, to find the gift in what you don't like, then the universe will quit sending you those kinds of gifts. Now, how it generally works, the technicalities are, when you get to the end of a pattern that you probably played out your entire life, and some higher beings actually say, whatever your pattern is, you've been playing it out for eons. When you get to the end of that pattern will assault you. It will hit you. The Oneness book by Rasha says, wham, wham, wham. It will hit you, insisting this is how reality is. This is who you are. This is all you ever get. And if you don't buy into it, or if you do buy into it when it comes around again, you don't buy into it. You break the pattern. You do get 2 or 3 more echoes, they're called, where the pattern raises its head. Yoo-hoo! Hello! Are you going to buy into me? Here I am. Remember me? You always jump right on me and go into this drama. Here I am again. And when you don't take that bait, basically that pattern quits coming. And I experienced this in my personal life with the kinds of clients that I would attract that weren't a lot of fun. And I used them to get at what it was in my belief systems, my energies was pulling these kinds of people in who weren't as much fun as other people. And I rarely get a client anymore who isn't a blessing, isn't fun, isn't a gift, isn't a journey that gives me as much personally as I get, maybe even more. Does that help? That help?
Yes, very much.
All right. So another hand.
I see, I believe Fire Tree has her hand up.
Hi, Fire Tree.
Hello. What was really relevant, well, all of it has been hugely relevant, really interesting this evening. But something that you touched upon quite early on, Keith, was around the channeling of frequencies and channeling of light. Well, I've been experiencing this the past couple of years, but I would say in particular, since last year, I had a total burnout. And then since then, when I've been coming back to facilitating again, both in private sessions and ceremonies and things like that, I've noticed myself that I'm not, yes, I'm holding space to a point, but I feel that more of the channeling rather than I feel like I'm holding space and like, I'm letting you hold space for yourself. Well,
yes.
You know what I mean? And I'm fine. I would really like if you could explain a wee bit more about that channeling and the frequencies.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Um, I dealt with this first in the 1970s as a body worker, where I learned that if I use my personal energies, I get drained. But if I use what at that time was called universal energies, if I bring through me energies from source, creation, oneness, my greater being, I actually collect a commission on those energies and get fed. And Barbara's watched me on a day when we got a lot of stuff and I'm doing a private session day. I will sit where I'm sitting now, and I will work 14 hours straight doing private sessions. Finish, walk into the house, and Barbara goes, "Whoa, you're glowing." And I go, "Yeah, you want to go out? What do you want to do? You want to jump in bed? What do you want to do?" Because I am full of energy. And this learning to bring through the universal or the cosmic or the energies of your greater being, rather than using your personal energies. My personal energies are for my sweetheart. I'm not using them here. I share them with the one I love. My compañera, my kindred spirit that I'm taking this magical journey with. They're for her. Even other people that I love and love me, and there's a lot of them, personal energies aren't really being used. I am being me, but I'm allowing the greater me to flow through. And I can't tell you how you do this, but I can say, close your eyes and ask your higher self to show you. Put your two hands out in front of you, on the table, on your knees, separated by a few centimeters or half a meter, whatever's convenient. Put your two hands out, and in one hand, pick a hand. Put, using your personal energies to do your healing work, and in the other hand, put allowing creation to flow through you to do the work that you're having fun with. Not to make one wrong and one right, but just to feel each one. And take the hand that is using your personal energies and lift it up and put it into your heart so that you feel how this works with you. To know yourself, to understand, not to make it wrong, not to make yourself wrong, not to correct yourself, just to know. And then take it back out. Once you've experienced what that does to, in this case, your heart chakra and your entire energy field, and then take the other one, using the cosmic energies, the mass reality, oneness source, your own multidimensional being, and put that in yourself, into your heart chakra, and feel the difference. And then simply, if you like this better, if you like the feeling of using the universal energies, or whatever you call them, better, ask, communicate, tell. Imagine that you're telling your caring subconscious mind, I want to learn how to do this, to use my personal energies in personal situations, and to bring through the multidimensional energies when I am doing the work that I do in the world. And even often when I'm socializing with others. And trust that your caring subconscious mind will bring up to you anything that is in the way, any belief systems,
This guy's a
any
badass.
blockages
One of the greatest healers on the planet. I'm not even kidding you.
that you have, to allowing this to become normal for you. And as these things arise, oh, well, you know, I won't be loved unless I drain myself. If I don't feel weaker or less than, I haven't given enough, I wasn't a good enough person. We see that quite often here. So that can eventually change to, when I finish a session with a whole lot of extra energy, I know that I gave a whole lot, because what you put out is what you get back. The more you give, the more you get, if you allow that. And you can, and I've helped a lot of people, from massage therapists to energy workers, light workers like all of you, to find this place where you literally discover that you have more fun the more you give. Because everything that goes through you, you collect a little bit on that. It goes into your personal energy budget. And as I said, after a 14-hour day, not that I do that often, and not that that's my preference, but it happens. After a 14-hour day, I can go party with my sweetheart. Okay?
Yeah.
That help?
Yeah, it did. Thank you. And I think as well, there was an aspect of that as for how to, I guess, to transmit that to others in the space that maybe aren't so used to that language, or they're maybe not so used to taking responsibility for their own energy.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And also to work with the belief systems, like the one that we mentioned, that tell you if you're not drained, you didn't do enough. You didn't give. Oh, if you're not tired, if you're not exhausted, you're being selfish. You're not giving what you could give. Those are very powerful and very common belief systems that people use to let themselves know that they were good enough. I'm exhausted. I need to recover. I need to take a nap. That proves that I gave all I could give. And you have the experience where, hey, I'm ready to go out dancing. That proves that I gave a lot. All right, another hand. Let's have it.
Does anybody else have a question for Keith? Is Glenn? Brother, how are you? I see your hand flashing up there. Why don't you go ahead and unmute yourself and ask?
Hi, Glenn.
Hello there. Yeah, I was just listening. Thanks a lot for everyone for sharing. I'd like to add something onto it, if that's possible. The feeling aspect of it, I've not heard so much come through now, and I think that's the essence of being able to fully comprehend all the. You do not need to comprehend, of course, the energy flowing through you, but if you feel, then you know. I think that's the main key to be said here. Thank you.
Okay.
Do you agree with me from your own experiences that through connecting and let the energy flow without putting the meaning towards it, then it can just be, and everyone receives what they need to receive in that current moment?
Yes, absolutely. If you understand that everyone will experience being the channel, flowing this energy in their own unique way. In other words, there is not a right way, and I can't teach you how to do this. So we tell people here, I can give you one guarantee, and that guarantee is the way I do it will not work for you. You can allow your own way to experience this, in your own way to feel it, in your own unique inner metaphors, to find you by asking your higher self to show you how you do this. So I tend to not try to describe what it feels like, because that's only how it feels to me. And it's going to be uniquely different for everyone else, because these kinds of feelings are, it's like you can find books out there on the meaning of dream images. And you can look up your dream image in the book and it'll tell you what it means. And then there are other people, often higher dimensional beings, who say dream images are metaphors. If you have fire in your dream, it means one thing if you're afraid of fire, and another thing if you think of the fire as something you'd like to sit around with a bunch of friends, and it's going to be warm and beautiful. Fire means completely different things depending on your own personal metaphors. And so how this feels, or what your experience of being a channel for multidimensional energies would be, is uniquely individual to everyone. There is not a right way to do it. There's your way. And you can allow your way to emerge. But I can't tell you how. I can tell you that every single person here is already there, whether they allow it a little bit or a lot. But I can easily tune in and see that there's no one on this call that doesn't get this, whether they allow it a little bit or a lot, whether they're still stuck in the old world where they have to do, rather than moving into the new world where they are, and they're connected, and they're sharing the multidimensional reality they're connected to. This help? Greg?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, Glenn.
Yeah, it made me, your answer made me think actually of what one of our coaches always used to say in school. I used to study human resource management, and they used to share there's only three things in life. There is what you see, what you think, and what you feel. And what you see always addresses to what you think always addresses to what you've seen, and what you feel always addresses to what you think about it. So in the context of what you've just shared with us all, it's all the inner process of yourself about experiencing it in that now moment and letting it go. I think that's the summary. Thank you very much.
Beautiful.
I see Kristen's hand up.
Hi,
Kristen. Go ahead.
Hey, everybody. I just want to say I appreciate this topic because I think it's something that every single human, I mean, all of these topics, but, the grief topic's a really big one. And like Paula said, there's this interesting underlying sense of grief that's happening for most people I know and that we know. It happens for us sometimes too. And there's a lot of confusion around it all. But something, just listening to all of this, something that's just come into my mind, I've been thinking of major events, say in the past 10 years of my life, that have caused a lot of grief for me. And in hindsight, I can look back at these things, and it doesn't matter, what the grief stemmed from. But I think also this ties in with something Laura said about how do you know if you're doing the work, and then it also ties into something that Glenn just said, and it's about the idea of expectation. And I think letting go of expectations of all others and of ourselves especially allows grief to sort of heal and get disarmed. Can you speak on that, Keith, the expectations related to grief in our lives?
Yes. So everybody close your eyes. We're going to talk about two energies, and I'm going to use the English language terms and hope to make it clear. There's two energies being discussed here: expectation and expectancy. Expectation is reality is supposed to look this way. I expect this to happen. When it doesn't happen, something's wrong. I'm wrong, or reality is wrong. I'm wrong, or they're wrong. In other words, the expectation is an attachment to what the outcome looks like. Expectancy is, I don't know what it's going to look like, but I know it's going to be good. I don't know what the universe is going to bring me, but I know a gift is on the way, and I'm going to be able to use that gift and level up to the next step with it. So again, expectation is the universe needs to look like this. I want to see this. If I don't see this, something's wrong. And expectancy is whatever it looks like is going to be to my highest good. I might have to decode the gift. I might not like the gift. It might not be my preference. But if I can decode the gift and use it, the universe will bringing me this gift that is not my preference. Kristen, does that help? Yay. So expect that, I mean, this, if you're not a native English speaker, this way of expectation and expectancy might be a little unclear. But again, expectation is, I expect reality to look this way, to happen this way, to be this way. And expectancy is, however it is going to be absolutely the perfect thing that I need for my journey, even if I don't like it. Okay? So I'm trying to, did I make it clear for people who are not native English speakers, or who, you know, don't have a lot of big words like refrigerator? Okay, Rick.
Who's got the next question? Let me see some hands. Anybody got a question for Keith or a comment that they would like to make?
Oh, let me jump in, Rick.
Okay, we'll get to you next, Margot. Go ahead, Keith.
Let me go back to this one and just do our two hands thing. Wherever you are, put expectation in one hand and expectancy in the other hand. Put, I need reality to look like this or I'm not going to be happy, in one hand, and I'm willing to accept whatever reality looks like as precisely the biggest, juiciest gift I need in the other hand, and just feel the difference as it applies to you personally. Because it will be different for everyone. Because what Kristen is talking about is one of the most important core issues. Because when you begin to get this inside, you can let everyone have their own truth, even if you don't like it. You can celebrate that someone else has a different truth and a different path than you are, and you can know that their truth is exactly in alignment with the flow of their greater being and is going to get them wherever they're going, even if it's the disaster they need. So in your two hands, just feel the difference. And again, if you'd like, put one and then the other alternately into your heart to feel what those energies do to your energy field, to your reality inside. Put in expectation, the I need to control. If reality doesn't look like I want it to look, things are wrong, I'm going to be disappointed. Put that in one. And then put in that reality is going to bring me the biggest gift. Now, this is an essential feature of fifth dimensional understanding. We say on the porch, you have never ever had, and you never ever will have anything except the perfect lover. Every partner, whether it was for one night or years, has been the perfect vibrational match for your resonance, your frequency. They have brought up perfectly what the contract of meeting them was about. Even if it was a complete disaster, an emotional train wreck, it is absolutely impossible to ever have anything except the perfect partner to take you perfectly to your next level if you cooperate with it. Nothing changes until you do, rule number 3. And if you use your perfect asshole or bitch partner, you'll level up. If you don't, you'll get a repeat performance. And when you understand what Kristen is talking about, that it is simply impossible for creation, reality, the universe to bring you anything except a gift. Then you accelerate by cooperating with this absolutely crazy detoxification on the emotional level that the whole planet is going through. You, me, and everyone else. And all of you are being prepared as the chaos increases, as the emotional, especially the emotional and belief system detoxification accelerates. You're all being prepared to help other people out of those nightmares. People who are ready. You're going to be busy. It's going to be intense. When economies and currencies are crashing, you're going to have a busy job. Even if they say here in Guatemala, someone can only pay you with a chicken or a basket of fruit or vegetables. So what Kristen is talking about is literally the key to trusting the journey of your own client and helping them use it rather than trying to get them out of their solution because their solution is wrong and they shouldn't be there. Rick, back to you.
I think Margot had a question. Margot, do you still have a question for Keith? Please unmute yourself and ask away.
Hi, Keith. Hi, everyone. So, yeah, I was feeling a lot of things coming up with the shift you're talking about, the space holding towards more channeling. And I know both of those, different feelings of that. And still, I find myself when I'm working with people that I, in some cases, especially when there's a lot of emotion coming up for the other person, that I feel like there is a need for me to hold space for that. And I don't know if you can talk a little bit more about that and what that's, if there's something
Yes.
that is usual or not. Yeah.
Let's just rephrase your statement just a little bit. So somebody has a lot of emotion coming up. Let's talk about you being an empath. You vibrationally, now I'm talking out of our YouTube video called Empath Training. If you search on YouTube for Empath Training, it will come right up. But imagine that you're sitting with this client whose emotions are just pouring out. And you use your skills as an empath to invite and welcome these energies to come out of them. And yes, you can move them through you. You can read them, but you don't have to eat them or identify them. Imagine that you would be, instead of just holding space and giving them a space to let this out, to dump whatever they need to do, that you would be energetically intending, directing that what they are releasing moves directly to the angelic service level or to the Mother Earth, or both, however you work, to be transmuted, cleaned up, turned back into white light, higher dimensional frequencies, and then returned to the planet wherever they belong, to the person you're working with or to somebody else if they actually sponged up the other person's pain. So instead of the holding space, imagine yourself as the active wizard directing that what is being released be transmuted, be taken by your friends, by the angelic level, right off to another dimension for cleanup. And then the second step that goes beyond holding space, as they empty of these densities, you and the channel you are bring in the replacement that their higher self would call for to fill the place where they've let something go with whatever their higher self says belongs there. This two-way street where you empathically assist them in getting something out of them, the vibration, resonance, and frequency, the pain body contents that they are ready to release. Even if all they understand and know is dumping and storytelling, they don't really know how to work with it. Even if that's all they know, you send that density off to transmutation, and then you ask your higher self that you be a channel for whatever their higher self orders through your magic channel to bring them the vibrations and resonances and frequencies that they need to fill the now open place. You're dealing with a lot of people who have learned from the culture that when they get into a pain body drama, they need to tell stories. The gals get together with other ladies and he did, they did. Guys go down to the bar, get together with other guys and do she did, they did. The general understanding is that telling stories only brings you a repeat performance of the same drama, variations on a theme, from the universe, because you didn't use the drama as a gift. So you get the gift again. Your job is to help the person actually move the energies and to get to the level underneath the stories. Okay, you just had a major drama with your partner. What is the childhood pain body issue underneath this? As an example, we will often say, as an example, on the porch, when somebody is discussing beginning to tell a story, we'll go, okay, inner child, how old are they and where do you keep them in your body? And usually this statement is a little bit of a shock. How old is this person? Hey, wait a minute. You're not actually angry at the person you're talking about. They've only brought anger or resentment or something up to the surface that is about someone else, is from your parents in your past, is from something else. And to help someone break through the surface crust of storytelling and get to the deeper level, what part of your pain body, what part of your story, what part of your life experience, how old is your inner child who is feeling this way? And where do you keep them in your body? Because it's not going to be in their heart. It could be in their head, or it could be pushed down in a lower chakra so they don't have to feel it. Because that's what we've learned to do, is not feel what's inside. So we push that inner child. Those feelings. And going along with the inner child is the wonder, the creativity, the beauty, the curiosity, the magic. And to have access to that magic, you've got to deal with the pain. You literally got to go inside to where your little prison is, to where your client's prison is, where they've got the inner child shut up so they don't have to feel what they feel. Open the door, sit down in the door and say, hey, I'm realizing that I've pushed you away because I don't want to feel what you feel. I'm realizing that this has to change because you're going to keep getting my attention through one louder drama after another until I deal with these very real things inside of me. I'm realizing that I need you. I need my inner child as a guide to lead me out of this place. You, little lady, you, little gentleman, are the one who was there when I shut everything down. You are going to help me undo the shutdown. You, once we establish a relationship where we have a little bit of trust, you are going to take me by the hand and take me to where I buried my love, put it behind the wall, unplugged from it, blocked the channel, blocked my connection channel, took a part of myself and pushed it into another dimension, and now an empty place there that I filled with pain. You're going to take me to these places. You're going to take me to the memories that I need to let move through me. I, as the empath I am going to help you to release these very real emotions by not making you wrong for having them, by sitting with you and feeling them with you and letting the higher dimensional energies, letting the guides, letting my higher self come in and transmute them. All these kinds of things. Now, this is a huge review in an accelerated fashion of doing inner child work, where you move from the level of telling stories on the surface, they did, to the deeper level, well, they did because I have this pain inside me and it needs to come up. So I need to get it triggered. So I'm literally on another level going to ask someone to play the other end of my script and push my pain body button and ring my pain bell. And up it'll come. And if I can get out of the level of blaming them or blaming myself, however they do it, then I have the possibility of going into the energies, the emotions, the violations, the pain that is really there. Does this answer your question? Does this help? This is a lot, I realize. This is a kind of a massive tour de force of inner child work.
Yeah,
but there you are.
Yeah, wow, Keith, thank you so much. It was perfect. I got a lot of downloads from that. Thank you.
So right now, close your eyes. Ask your inner lady of exactly the age you need to work with to come and sit down next to you, to your left. Give her a big hug. Whether she's afraid of you, whether she's really angry at you, whether she's in pain, or whether she's been waiting for you to get to the stage of your consciousness where you're ready to find her and work with her, not as a parent, not as someone who's going to tell her this, that, and the other, but as a partner, as like you're a big sister. Now, with your little lady sitting just to your left, look off into the distance, into a mist, a fog, a cloud. And out of the cloud will walk your future self 7, 8 years from now. When you've done all the inner child work, when it's starting to look much, much brighter on the planet, when you're in your power. And let your future self, from your highest probable future, most magic, most power, most love, most joy, most fun, and most love, walk toward you. Meet them. Do you like them? Are they having fun? Do they have a way that they are in immense service in this world? Do they have lots of meet them, their joy? Their joy. Now, they are going to, if you hadn't done the work you've already done, if you had work you have already done, they could not be who they are. So they're going to have immense gratitude to you. Huge thank yous, because you made their reality possible by the work you've already done. So let them share their love with you. Let them give you a gift. from what they know in their time, in the eternal now. They exist right now in a different area of time. Let them share with you and ask them to sit down on your right. Give you a big hug. And now, because this future self has done the inner child work that you haven't done yet, ask your little lady, ask your inner child to go sit in your future self's lap, to get a big hug, to be held, to be loved. And from the knowledge that your future self has of having done the inner child work, let them transfer that healing to your child from your future to your past. So about a year ago, some Australian quantum physicists published a paper because they did an experiment and they got a result and they couldn't deal with it. So they brought in some other quantum physicists to figure out what they did wrong. And those quantum physicists repeated the experiment with a lot of variables, and they got the same result, and they couldn't deal with the result. And they finally said, what the fuck? We'll just publish it, and we'll let the big quantum physicists at Cambridge and MIT chew us up. And the big quantum physicists said, oh yeah, what do you know? And their conclusion was that the particle, the physical piece of matter, chose its past from its future. They published that in a quantum physics journal. And the big quantum physicists accepted it as the truth. The particle, the piece of physical matter, chose its past from its future. And that's what you're doing right now. You are changing your past from your future as your future self holds your little lady or holds your little gentleman and helps them to heal, helps them to release what they need to release. You're changing your past, and with a different past, you will automatically have a different now because you have a different past. Let this happen inside. Change your past from your future and feel it. Feel it. The wizard you are from 7-8 years in the future, coming to assist you in your now with your past from decades ago that all exists simultaneously in different areas of now. And all that love. And now the three of you journey together to a critical age in your late teens or early 20s. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, something like that. To a critical age. All three of you, your little lady, your future self, and you, go back to your past, late teens or early 20s, to a critical age. And meet this past you. In their confusion, in their chaos, in their pain, in their emotional train wreck, in their separation from their family and their parents, in their grief, wherever they are. And now you are the future self of this one. And help them, empathically welcome from them and pass it right on to the angelic level or to the Mother Earth level. Whatever they're holding that they do not know how to carry, the confusion, the pain of their journey with love. their desperation in trying to be successful, get an education, whatever. Help them out right where they are. And as this continues to happen on another level, the four of you journey together back to another critical age. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Somewhere there. Maybe 10, 11, 12 when your hormones were just beginning to activate. Some critical age, and meet them. And shower love on them from their past as your little lady, your little gentleman, and from all three of you in the future. Shower love on them and help them to release their pain, their anxiety, their confusion. They're attempting to fit in to a consensus reality that is bizarre. Their journey with letting go of the last pieces of their magic so they do fit in. Give them a big, all of you together, give them a great big hug. And now all of you once again go back in time to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years of age. When you're in the middle of the consensus reality shutdown process, buying in, telepathically accepting the consensus reality lies. Maybe it'll be the exact age of your little lady, little gentleman, maybe a little different age. But help them out. Love them up right where they are. Let them know. Let them see their future in the decades ahead, including your future self, that, hey, you're doing this shutdown for a reason, and it's all going to end up fine. So let it happen. Don't worry about it. And as this child receives your love and is helped to release whatever they're holding that they don't know how to carry, say goodbye to them. Give them a workable connection to their future self that they can call on for a little help whenever they need in their life. Say goodbye to them. Say goodbye to your little one that you first started with, and then jump ahead to the 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Drop them off in there now. Gives them a connection to their futures that they'll be able to tap into and get a little trust from. And then jump ahead again to the late teens, early 20s, to that critical time, and drop them off in there now with a connection to you and your future self, where they can find that love when it isn't available anywhere else in their life, when they can find a little bit of trust, a little bit of centeredness. And then say goodbye to them with another big hug and jump back to right here, right now. And in this now, say goodbye to your future self, the 7 or 8 years in the future in all their empowerment and all their fun and love and joy, in all their knowing that we're really, really, really gonna do it on this planet, that we're through the worst of the chaos. And let them return, walk back to your future, knowing that you have a connection, that you can call on them in meditation, that they will come, that they will enter your now in your now. And bring their knowing when you're confused. You can call on the part of you that already figured it out, that already did the work. Now, right here, right now, in the blessings, in the gift from your future, in the gift that you are to your past selves, feeling inside that with different pasts, you now have a different now, because you are in a different timeline. That timeline has a different past. And you're fine. So wake up, come back, open your eyes, be here. All right, Rick, you're on. How was that, everybody? Did that help?
That was really good.
Boop, boop, boop.
So let me see some hands. Who's got a question or has a comment? Anyone? Who's next? I see Tanner with his hand up, but he could just be scratching his nose.
Dual purpose.
Well then, scratch your nose and ask your question.
Well, I had this kind of revelation this morning while I was doing my meditation. Kind of relates to something that Kristen and I experienced in a ceremony we did almost a month ago to the day that made us kind of think about this topic of grief and grieving and supporting people through that in the ceremonies that we've done. And was 5 years ago. I never thought about this, even knowing that this call was booked for today, but it was 5 years ago today that my dad passed away. And so I had this realization this morning at the end of my meditation that when my dad passed away, we went to the funeral and then he was cremated. And then my sister sent Kristen and I some ashes because we live about 15 hours away. So my sister sent us this little jar of ashes, and we kind of thought, well, like, what are we going to do with them, right? Like, put them on the mantle and keep them forever or what? But that's not really our style. So there's a ferry from Vancouver Island that goes to the mainland in Vancouver. And we were on that ferry in Nanaimo heading to Vancouver. And so at some point, just after we left Nanaimo, we decided that we'd go to the back of the ferry and let my dad's ashes go. And for whatever reason, I haven't thought about that in a really long time, but where we live now is probably like 5 miles from that spot. And it was just interesting to have that flash in my mind that just kind of what a funny world we live in, you know, how all these things come back around and around and around. And so, yeah, I had this other interesting thought about baby boomers, actually, ironically, and how, actually, I just looked this up a little while ago, and there's like 73 million baby boomers in the US alone. And how I think this year, the millennials generation is going to actually surpass the baby boomers. And how I think our generation, which is Generation X, is going to take till like 2028 to surpass the baby boomers. But just how many people of that generation are going to be on the way out, how much grief that's going to create in families and in people and all over the world, right? It's going to be like a record number of people passing on and people transitioning. And I feel like Kristen and I have a really pretty good handle on the death and dying concept. And, you know, we don't look at death as like, oh my God, you know, we're gone, we're lost, you know. But a lot of people do. And I think it's, you know, when my dad passed, it was really challenging for me, as it is for lots of people. But yeah, that grieving process taught me a ton about myself and about my family. And so, yeah, it was just interesting this morning to have that thought. You know, 5 years, I feel pretty resolved with my dad's life and his passing, and definitely is a process. Stuff does come up, thoughts happen, you know, things remind you of the person, and, you know, another wave can wash over you. But I just feel like the more time passes, the better of a handle you get on it yourself too. So anyway, it's just kind of a comment, just a consideration for people to, yeah, I guess just to be aware of that. Even people we know, like lots of people that are healer type people that live really well, that are experiencing dis-ease, right? And lots of people winding up with cancer and all kinds of other things. And so, yeah, just really interesting, just kind of more of a reflection than a question necessarily, but maybe you could add a little bit to that.
Tanner, close your eyes.
Oh.
Go inside, walk down that inner stairway, imaginary stairway, each step taking you deeper and safer within, down, down, deeper and safer. Bottom of the steps, walk down a hallway with a lot of doors. It's going to be a door on the right. You'll know it. You'll know which one it is. I want you to step in through that doorway. This door represents the old karmic patterns in your DNA. The inheritance from lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, vibrationally, and the inheritance from your family of major diseases. As a karmic pattern, as a given, this is what happens when you get old. That's what's behind this door. Bring in the light. unhook, disconnect from these ancient karmic patterns. It's a time on the planet when we can do this, when we can unhook from the guarantee that life goes downhill. Unhook. Gently ask your higher self and your guides to come into this room and participate with you in letting go of the old and ancient and ancestral influences, the patterns carried in the DNA. As part of what we're finishing on this planet. Let yourself arrive at a place where you'll understand that things like cancer and heart disease, the real serious issues that people die from, are the result of not listening to messages over and over and over again for decades. And eventually you get one loud enough, a message loud enough that it can take you out. And you learn by exiting. Which is okay. And in this grief, you understand that there are many people out there, not everyone, but many people have a life choice, a life decision, a soul blueprint chosen that they will exit through a major disease. They might fight cancer like crazy and die from it. But understand that there are people who have made the choice to exit in this way as an amazing learning experience that they need to top off this lifetime. I tell a story that Carlos Castaneda, the author of the Don Juan books, told. He was walking in Los Angeles and he saw some graffiti scrawled on a wall. And the graffiti said, "Death is the greatest trip there is. That's why they save it for last." So, you will work with people who have a life plan to exit through a major disease, and they will not heal, whether through the medical profession or alternative means. It won't work. All the radiation and chemo, all the magical alternative stuff, they will not heal because that is not their journey. Other people will heal. Other people will have, with your help, spontaneous, magical, reality shifting, timeline, parallel reality shifting, quantum jumping shifts where they heal. And you'll help them do that. Because exiting is not their choice. You are going to get better and better at following your clients, whatever their higher choice, soul blueprint is. And let them have it. Let them take that journey. knowing that truly for some people, dying from a major disease is the path that they chose to get the most learning possible at the end of a life. So relax. And pull your energies gently out of being the healer that does, that makes it happen. And let them come to a place where your job is to follow the person you're working with and what their highest good truly is. If that's to exit, you can help them with all the things they want to understand in their remaining time before they're gone. If that's to heal, you can help them move those energies. And know that you will have, as I have had, experiences where you help someone move through some inner issues and their symptoms vanish. And a little bit later, they come back and you help them move through the next layer and their symptoms go into remission. And then they come back and you help them through another layer and they go into another remission and their symptoms come back. And then they can't process that level. It's too deep. There's too much fear. There's too much resistance, something. And they're not able, even though you can see it totally, it's just the same as all the other levels, and they can't move through it, and they die. And you'll help them have that experience. Yes, you'll hold the highest. Yes, you'll hold that they live many more years. But you'll help them die in the highest vibrational way possible. Everyone on this call will have these kinds of experiences. Everyone on this call will have the experiences where they're working with someone who is just too resistant, too angry, in too much pain to move through what they need to move through to change their life. And you cannot do it for them. There's no way. So in all that, find the place in you that can absolutely trust and follow and give everyone you work with the right, the total permission to have their own unique journey, whether it leads them to death or more years in this dimension. Know that exactly, precisely the healing experiences, the client experiences that all of you need as an individual, you will find them in front of you, and they will take you to your next level. They'll help you let go of having all the answers. They'll help you let go of attachment to outcome, of needing good results so you feel better. They'll help you let go of any agenda that you have, of expecting someone else to get better so you get validation for a part of you that you don't validate yourself inside. This is the journey of the healer, and everyone here is on that. Everyone here is a good healer, and they're going to generate circumstances out of their own magic to push them into being even cleaner and higher vibe. And this is not going to slow down. It's going to accelerate over the next years. You're going to allow yourself to step more and more into your own power. You're needed. So have fun with it. Tanner, that help?
Yeah, it was great. It was really interesting to hear your words, and a lot of what I got out of my dad's passing was like that we're all on our own little ship here, and we're out at sea, and we can't steer anyone else's ship where they've got the wheel, and we can get our ship next to them and say, hey, how you doing? You know, but at the end of the day, we're all on our own little dinghy here, and it was hard to accept that, you know, that people, like you say, they're making their own decisions about how far and how many layers into the, you know, peeling everything apart they can get, and everybody's got their own capacity for that. Thanks for sharing.
So, for all the healers working with grief, I'm going to tell you a little story here. So, my training with the higher dimensional beings in the late 80s and early 90s that I went through lasted about 7 years. And about 2/3 of the way through the training, the higher beings, channeled by several members of the group that we worked with, made an announcement to the group. They said, you are going to have to watch people in this group that you love destroy themselves. They're going to reach a level where they can't take the next step. They're going to get triggered. They're going to go into blame. And I watched people that I had worked with for years in this group. And everybody in the group trying to talk to them. Higher dimensional beings trying to talk to them. And they held on to their pain. They insisted that it was real. They insisted on their blame, on their hurt, whatever it was. They couldn't move it. And they went right down a spiritual toilet. My teachers called it when your pain body eats you alive. Lazarus refers to it as devouring you. As they said, you will have to watch people you love destroy themselves. Literally. All those people who went down the spiritual toilet, they're gone now. They're all past. It's not a lot of fun to watch someone eat themselves alive. Watch their pain body devour them. Literally. This will happen. And there's nothing you can do about it. I literally sat in a group where those people could not hear an enlightened being talking to them. They pushed it away. So it doesn't matter who you are or what you're channeling. There'll be people that can't hear it and will literally flush themselves down the spiritual toilet. And from what I've seen in the past years, once you get so far down the toilet, you do not get out in that lifetime. It doesn't happen. It's impossible. At a certain point, there's no turning around. I've seen a lot of people turn around just before they got to that point. This isn't fun. This is not fun. And there's not many places to talk about this. But all of you will experience this. And some of those people will be blaming you. And that's okay. Get your gift from the journey. Let them have theirs. You can't fix it. And especially if you have energies where you can't let someone else have their own truth. You'll meet with this. Maybe you already have. In the greater picture, there's absolutely no blame and no failure. They will be right back here in a parallel dimension in the, in 2019 and 2020, whatever it is. They'll be right back here again. And they'll have the experience of having blown it. And it'll serve them well. It'll give them maybe the little extra thing they need to do the work in that lifetime. It's not a problem. So let them have their journey as best you can. Oh, you're going to feel it. I certainly felt it. It didn't feel good. I'll tell you another story of how real it gets. As part of a group called Lightwork, a subgroup in my main group. And at the beginning of the Lightwork session, about a dozen people, we would go up to the temple, the 8th chakra. You may not be familiar with this meditation. Anyway, the 8th chakra is above your head. The 8th chakra is about as big as a soccer ball, football. And the bottom of it is about 20 centimeters above the head, about 10 inches, 10 or 12 inches. And the 8th chakra is called the temple. It's a temple built of light. And you can walk up the steps and in the front door, and the temple is the perfect place for your guides to step down their energy, for you to increase your energy, and you can meet your guides in the temple. And we would start every weekly session by going up to the temple to connect with our guides and get the theme of what we were going to work on in that particular session of group. And then we'd go around the circle and everybody would say what they received in the temple. And this would set the tone for what was going to be worked on. There would be a theme, and that's what we would work on in the group. And there was one woman in the group who'd been there the whole, years. It was like 6 years at that time, almost 7 years at that time. And she was the most profoundly stuck person I've ever met in my life. If you gave her a shoulder massage, it felt like somebody had injected concrete under her skin. Just sitting there, this 55-year-old woman was actually working harder than anyone digging a ditch. She was locked up. She was incredibly frustrated. She was stuck. She was in massive hopelessness and futility and couldn't move it. So anyway, when we went around the group and it was her turn to say what happened in the temple, she said, "Oh my God. It was so beautiful. I was met by all my guides and all my teachers and all my friends, and there was so, so much love. I didn't want to leave. That's all she had to say. So we went to the next person going around the circle, and while that person was talking, Cynthia's head went to the side. We stopped and we looked at Cynthia. And somebody walked over and checked her pulse, and there was none. Cynthia was gone. We called 911. The ambulance, the emergency medical professions, technicians came. Cynthia was totally dead. She had gone right back to be with all her friends. And at the end, as the medical technicians were leaving, as they were loading her into the ambulance, one of the technicians turned around and said to us, "You know, this is the most massive heart attack I have ever seen. She never would have even felt a thing." So they took Cynthia away in the ambulance, and we sat down in our circle, 11 of us now, and we all celebrated Cynthia for the absolutely awesome way she left. And we finished our meditations and our work for that evening. And then we cleaned out our house. And I still have one of Cynthia's towels. That is where all of you will go. In your own way, in your own experience, it will get that real. And it will be a gift to every one of you. How's that for a story, Mr. Rick?
That's a really good story. I'm always impressed when I hear a story from you that I haven't heard before, and that's a new one on me.
Woohoo! Next question, please.
Who has the next question or comment?
Jump
Do we
in.
have any? Looking around for hands. You can just speak up if you like.
Hey, Keith, just wanted to say thanks for sharing. As always, love you, buddy. Keep your stick on the ice, and we'll catch you next time.
Boop, boop, boop. Yes, please.
Well, it looks like we have exhausted all the questions for the day. Whoa, not exhausted. No, we've got one hand up, Miranda. Please. I'm going to try to unmute you. I have unmuted you. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I appreciate, did that work? I'm unmuted. Can you hear me? Okay, perfect. Just, I guess, a question, all the wonderful information we've been getting lately, because I just had a lot of people asking sort of the stuff that you teach or that you share or channel through, how people say, how do you know? And, well, it's experiential, but I was just wondering if Keith had any experience sort of guiding people who aren't sure what this is about or new to the process. Just what kind of information to help them start the process.
Yes. Our favorite way to express this is FUD. F-U-D. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. As a little acronym that's a little bit fun, FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Now, the basic stance behind this is that there are two basic energies, belief and knowing. Belief comes from the rational mind level. And with belief, there is always FUD. There's always some kind of doubt. How can you know? Because the rational mind doesn't know. The fifth dimensional energy is knowing. And when you understand that everyone has their own knowing, and when it's knowing, there's no doubt, there's no fun. You know, it's your personal experience, it's your personal truth. It might not be somebody else's personal truth, and that is how it is. Your personal truth is what's going to get you where you're going. Now, close your eyes, relax. And in one hand, hold belief, rational mind, understanding, and conclusions, left brain, and in the other hand, hold knowing, heart, intuitive mind, right brain. And again, with no judgment, just experience the difference as to which world you operate out of. Do you literally operate out of the fifth dimension, or fourth density, as some call it, knowing of the heart? Excuse me, where you are sitting with a client and you just know. You don't get the knowing, it doesn't come to you, it's there instantaneously. When you have the knowing, the understanding, the vibrations, energies, and frequencies that they need, or anybody needs, and increasingly any manifestation you need, instantaneously right out of the void, nothingness. The void is the Buddhist term, nothingness or no thingness is the Hindu term, and many contemporary teachers call it the spacious present. It's a big empty place, vast, huge. This is most people's introduction to the fifth dimension. When you live here, the shamans call it clarity. The Zen Buddhists call it conditional enlightenment. They refer to it as sitting on top of the 100-foot pole. Up there, the view is incredible. You see and know everything. There's still you and the pole, so not full enlightenment. That's the Zen description of this place. You were in this place as a child. You told the truth right out of knowing, right out of oneness, and it got you in trouble. So it had to go. And now you're reconnecting. And everybody on this call is in a different place. Some people are trusting their knowing enough to use it in their sessions. Some people receive a knowing and they immediately take out an eraser, a magical power eraser, and pretend that they didn't get that input because, as you learned as a child, you can't show your work. You can't tell the adult who told you this. You can't explain it. So therefore, it's not real. You just know. What I learned when I went through this process in working with clients is that if I didn't know something sitting in front of a client, I didn't need to know it. Something else must be going on. You will learn that you will know whatever you need to know the instant you need to know it. It'll come effortlessly. And you will not have any doubt. Yes, it will take experience. It took me experience. You'll do it a lot faster than I did because I did it in the 1990s. You'll just know. Now, for someone hanging on to a third dimensional reality, explaining a fifth dimensional reality, explaining the difference between belief and knowing is basically impossible because it makes no sense. How do you know? Well, you don't know how you know because there isn't a how. You just do. But when people start telling you, as people have said to me on the porch, what are you doing? Are you sneaking into my hotel room at night and reading my diary? How do you know this stuff? I've actually had people say that to me. Because you know. And you are on a journey of trusting your fifth dimensional self and letting that part of you emerge and play and help you. And of course, help your clients and your ceremonies or whatever it is that you do. And I can read your vibe. You're there. You're there now. And you are in the process of learning to trust this. But you can't explain it any more than I've explained it here. You can't prove it. But you will learn to trust. And yes, you can learn a kinesiology finger testing technique, or, there's several things you can do to help check yourself on this, to help a little self-validation, which helps you trust. But basically, you'll learn to just roll with it. You'll learn the difference in feeling when you are in alignment and you know, and when you're in your head and you're telling somebody something from your belief system or from your ego or from wherever it's coming from. You'll recognize the difference in how it feels, or the sense of it, or the energy of it, or something. And when you really, really need it, there'll be a signal. You might get goosebumps. You might get tears. There'll be some kind of body consciousness signal that many of you get already when you really are on it. Many people get that who need it. You'll feel a buzz. You'll feel an activation in your hands as they begin to radiate energy, something like that. Everybody's uniquely different. You got your own metaphorical inner language of validation. Well, learn what it is and use it. I get tears. I'm an emotionally centered little boy, and sometimes I cry like a baby in the middle of a session, processing somebody's stuff, and I feel it. So here you are, connected to the fifth dimension, the void, the nothingness. So right now, reach out, pretend, imagine you're reaching out into nothing, into this giant, open, vast, empty place, and get a great, great, great big handful of nothing. And as you bring it towards you, ask that it manifest as whatever your heart chakra needs and spread it into your chest. Give it. From your shoulders to your solar plexus, give it to your body. Whatever you need right here, right now, from oneness, from source, from creation, from your own divine knowing. And as it integrates, reach out again into the void and get another great big handful, this time for your 6th and 7th chakra, 3rd eye and crown. And give it to yourself. For your pineal and pituitary. And let it help your 3rd eye and crown integrate with your throat and your heart. Whatever you need in opening, balancing, aligning, connection right here, right now. That your own oneness knows you're ready for. And as this integrates, reach out again into oneness. And get another big handful for all of you, from toes and fingers to crown. For every cell and organ, for every point and meridian, for every minor and major chakra, and all your systems. Your cardiovascular, your neurological, your lymphatic, your digestive, all your systems. And spread it through your whole body. Whatever oneness has for you right here, right now. As an upgrade. For the guys, we often call it a tune-up. For the ladies, we call it a makeover. Okay, let yourself have it. This 5th dimensional reality is what all of you are connected with and are already using with your clients or your groups, whatever you do. You're allowing this greater part of your being to come through you and express itself in a unique way that is in harmony with those that you're with. So that you find from inside yourself, it comes through you, exactly the words you need out of 100 ways to express it. You'll have exactly the words that will most help the other person to receive it. Whatever you're bringing to them, whatever they are calling for, asking you to bring through for them. Yes, they will learn how to get it for themselves. They'll get there. But until then, they're going to get it through someone who trusts that they can get it. And that's you. And that will keep you very busy. And all of the people you work with will find that they can get everything for themselves. Some of them will go through a codependent relationship as one of the steps in their process. Fine. You can work with that. You don't have to get hung up on it. But as you clean up your internal energies, you'll get fewer and fewer and fewer people in your life as clients who become codependent because they'll be too excited about becoming more of who they are. Everyone on this call is very close or already is at the place where reality is crazy just brings them one gift after another, after another, after another, after another, after another, that is even better than they could imagine. If that's not your experience of reality, know that you're close. That you have a few more things to move in your lack department, in your deserving department, and in whatever the issue is. And more you'll begin experiencing that as your reality. That the blessings, the service you have been putting out comes back. What you put out is what you get back. Called the law of attraction, basic law of creation. So, you, ridiculously magic and powerful person, have more fun. Go play. Mr. Rick? Anybody else with their hand up?
I'm looking around. I don't think I see any hands up. We're going to just keep looking here. Oh, there's a hand. Glenn, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank for everything, all the subjects that you are bringing to pass tonight, because there's also the subject of doubt, of course, the upheaval and the roller coaster that's been going on. You know, after hearing everyone speak for the last 2-3 hours, I really realized that it's all part of the journey, and I feel reassured that I'm exactly there where I need to be in the here and now. So thank you, and everyone for their contribution. That was just something I would like to share from my heart. Blessings.
Okay, Glenn, close your eyes. And everybody. The Hindus have a word, an expression. It translates into English as perfect or perfection, but it doesn't work in English. What it means is, to the Hindus, that everything is as it is and nothing is as it isn't. In other words, you and everybody are exactly where they need to be right now and in every moment. You are always, everyone is always right where they need to be, perfect. Whether they like it or not, whether it's an absolute disaster that they are dying from or not, whether it's someone in their life that is leaving a relationship or someone they love is exiting, and there's a huge amount of grief. It is synchronistically serving the journey of everyone. It is a gift. And it is also your choice to use it as that gift or not. If you don't use it as a gift, it'll come around again. You'll get a repeat performance. You'll get another opportunity. Your higher self is going to make sure you don't miss a step in the journey that you chose for yourself. Nobody else is asking you to do it. You chose. So you don't have to worry about finding the way. You don't have to worry about solving the puzzle of reality. Your higher self will bring you everything you need in the best order, in the perfect timing that you need it. Your job is to cooperate with the process. Even if you give it the 2-finger salute of a great big fuck you, fuck this. No, you're in total alignment, and the gifts are not going to stop. In fact, as the energies go up on the planet, the gifts are going to accelerate. Many people, many of you, will find yourself from time to time in what feels like overwhelm. Trust your process, relax, let it move, get out of the way, figure out that you don't have to do this work because you aren't you. You're not a human being. You're a being of light in a human body. You are not studying spirituality and finding your purpose. You are a being of light dealing with a human being pretending they're human. Over the next years, the pretending that you're a limited human being will be dropping away. We often say, as many of you have probably heard, and there's a number of scientists that say, you are using 10% of your brain. Yes? Have you heard that? Bashar, a lot of people's favorite extraterrestrial who speaks channels to us, says, no, that's not true. You're using 90% of your brain to pretend you only have 10% of a brain. Over the next years, you're going to stop pretending you have a limited brain piece by piece. And more of your brain, your reality, not your physical brain, your mind, is going to become available for your magic. And that is the process called ascension and enlightenment, where you simply drop using your brain to limit you, as we have all been taught. So have fun with it. It's going to happen. You don't have a choice. It will happen. You made the choice before you were born, and you can fight it or you can cooperate it, but it's going to happen anyway. The universe will kick your butt all the way to enlightenment. Or you can stand up in your board and surf the wave of light and have the biggest adventure you've ever had in any lifetime ever, anywhere. Either way, the universe, reality, your higher self are going to get you where you're going. So relax, sit back. Go out with some friends. Have a bottle of wine and a really good dinner, or whatever your joy is. Go for a walk. Snuggle with your sweetheart. If you want a personal recommendation from me, we've got a video on YouTube called The Art of Ascension. And I highly recommend snuggle shifting, where you shift when you're snuggling with your sweetheart. If you don't have a sweetheart, snuggle with your higher self and shift. Any of you who are not familiar with our little video made about 2.5 years ago, it's fun. Anybody on the call not familiar with that video? Boop. Okay. Anyway, on YouTube, there's a video called The Art of Ascension that we had a professional videographer make for us. And even our kitty cat is in it. Lots of interviews. Anyway, Mr. Rick, would you like to bring this call to a conclusion if there's not anybody else that has something to jump in with?
I will put it out there one more time, Keith. We're almost out of time. So if there is one last question, we can take it if we keep it brief. And it doesn't look like there are any more. I've got a yawn out of Paula. You got one out of me earlier. That's what happens when you're moving stuff. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining the call today. It's been an absolute pleasure to see all your faces and to interact with you once again. If you have any questions about any of this, please shoot it our direction and we'll get to it as quickly as we can. I'm in Guatemala right now and bandwidth is at an extreme premium. So it'll probably be later next week before we actually get this video downloaded and loaded up onto the internet where you can watch the replay.
Nope. We can do it at my place. It'll work pretty well.
Fabulous. I'm going to put you in charge of that.
Good. You get me the file and where to upload it, we'll do it. Okay, everybody, I would like to thank you because you people are fun. You know, this is really hard to explain. When I did this work in the 80s and 90s, it literally took 100 times longer and was 100 times more work to move everything. So all of you and the people that are here on our porch, I experienced you as geniuses compared to the dense jerk I was when I went through this. You don't know that you're the next level. I do. It is so obvious to me. And of course, I had teachers who said, the people I teach will go beyond me. All of you will go beyond me. And the people you teach, many of whom are children now, are going to go beyond you. That is how we'll do it on this planet. So working with you is a blessing and an honor. Several times, many times on this call, in working with one of you, I experience you moving stuff, assimilating the meditation that I'm giving at a rate that if I could have done that when I was doing this work, I'd have probably felt like a really big fucking deal. And here you are, outdoing me like crazy. Well beyond me. Turn my video back on here. And my most beautiful wish for all of you is that you experience your students in the future, and you'll all have them, make you feel the same way. As they go beyond you, and as in 15, 20 years, we have congresses and parliaments, governing bodies full of enlightened beings who aren't going to vote for military budgets because the people who voted them into office don't want military budgets. We are going to do it. It's a done deal. It's going to get ugly for a few years. It's going to look a little brighter about 6 years from now. Trust the process, let it happen, step into your power, and know you're being trained by yourself, by your higher self, to get people out of nightmares that are on their way. As we go through this gigantic emotional detoxification, where Eckhart Tolle says, he's been saying for about 3 years, over and over and over, people who resist the pain body release process, the emotional detoxification process, will have increasing pain, chaos, violence, and insanity in their life. Now, he's not kidding. By pain, he means enough pain that you are completely debilitated. You cannot walk down the street and go to the grocery store. I work with some people like that on Skype. They go to the hospital, the scanners, the doctors find nothing wrong with them. Call it psychological, give them some pills and send them home. All of you are going to be digging people out like that, out of nightmares. And you're being trained for that now in what you're doing. So thanks. Thanks for being more awesome than I am. Thanks for taking it to the next level. Mr. Rick, would you close out the call?
Thanks a lot, everybody. Thank you, Keith. The best to everyone. We'll be in touch soon. Look forward to seeing you on the next call.
Boop, boop, boop.